Hi guys, here's a quick video on tips for your celestial body database lab and free code camp. Everyone's doing a great job so far, but I know there's been a couple questions regarding this lab, so let's get started. The first thing I want to suggest is using a separate text file for your note taking and command creation. This helps a lot for those of you who find the labs repetitive. I would only do this if you completely understand what you're doing. Like if you think you have all the commands down and understand them all, but you just don't feel like typing them all out every time, especially for this lab where you have to have so many rows per table. Sometimes it's just easier to have separate files or have a separate file of all the commands when you're done just pasting them into the SQL terminal. This also helps if there's a lot of requirements to keep up with. Like in this lab, you have to make sure there's 5 or 6 tables, keep track of all their names, all the column, row, and variable names. And honestly, it's a lot to remember. So if you keep separate notes in a file, it's a lot easier to remember what you're doing and what else needs to be done. The third reason I suggest this is because if you happen to lose your progress or your lab doesn't save for whatever reason, you can have a separate text file of all your notes and commands on your computer and save it to your desktop. So just in case you don't remember everything you did, at least you'll still have a separate file of your notes. To do this, I just open a new file in VS Code and create all my commands there. And when I finish everything, I just copied and pasted it into the SQL terminal. The next thing I want to go over is saving a dump of your project. So in your lab, under the instructions where it says notes, you'll need to copy and paste this command into your bash terminal. First of all, you're going to do this because this step backs up your work just in case you don't finish the project in one session. I suggest saving it after every major step while you're building your project. So like after you finish each table or add all of your rows and variables at least once per coding session to avoid having to redo anything if there's a glitch. Lastly, you should save a dump of your project after you're done and after all of your tests pass. Make sure you're using the correct terminal to do this. So you should be entering this command into the bash terminal, not the SQL one. You can change terminals by selecting terminal from the top menu in VS Code and looking at the top right of the terminal. It'll show you if you're using bash or SQL. To change this, you can use the drop down arrow or the 3 dots menu and select bash or SQL or whichever one you need to use. When you're in the right terminal, just copy and paste this command to save a dump of your work. The last thing I want to show you guys is how to create a repository on GitHub and upload your file and then get the URL you're going to use to submit on Free Code Camp. So once you're done with everything and your test pass, you're going to log into your GitHub account and under repositories, click new. You're going to name your repository and make sure it's public. Once it's created, you can upload your Universe SQL file. There are several ways to do this. First, you can create a blank file in GitHub and just copy and paste the contents of your Universe SQL file into it. Or you can just save the Universe SQL file to your computer and upload it directly into your repository by just selecting the file from your computer. There's other ways to get your file into the repository, but this is the way that I do it just because it's simple. When your file's uploaded, and save everything and get your URL by clicking code and the copy button. This is the URL you're going to paste into the Free Code Camp solution link. Lastly, sometimes Free Code Camp will give you an error and say that your project isn't finished. If you get this error, you might just need to refresh and close out of Free Code Camp and reopen it in a new window and then try pasting your URL again. I hope these tips helped answer some of your questions and good luck everyone.